Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Welcome to today's video. It is a massive meal prep. I spent all day Monday doing all of these things, just getting things ready, using up things from the freezer and trying to look like I have it all together and organized. So first up, I'm making mini pizzas. So we have 4 chicken and then 4 ham and pineapple pizzas. These will go into the freezer and then they're there ready for anyone who wants to cook them for their lunch. I'm going to flash freeze them and then later on you'll see me bag them up into some Ziploc bags so they're just a little bit more protected. Okay, next up we're going to make 2 chicken casseroles. I've got this chicken that's marked down and I've got a couple of soup mix packs that were $1 each. Of course I've got to chop up an onion. I should be a pro at this after dinnerly, let me tell you. Thank you to everyone who did give me ideas about the best way to chop it. So the next time that I'm cooking, I will give it a go and I will let you know. So we're going to start by just putting half of the chicken pieces into here. I've sauteed the onion. Oh, I've even learning fancy new words. And we're cooking the chicken and we just browned it off a little bit. I just added a bit of water just to kind of not make it stick to the bottom. And then after about 10 minutes of just browning it a little bit, I covered it fully with water as you would see, and then I've cooked it for another half an hour. There is a separate chicken casserole video on the channel that you can watch. And then with the soup pack, I've diced everything up. So there was a swede, a parsnip, 3 carrots, there was a potato, and yeah, the onions, and I just added in some frozen pumpkin that I had in the freezer as well. I'm digging out now all of the chicken pieces. Sometimes I break it up into the water as it is, but it's hard trying to find the little bits of gristle and stuff, so I took all of it out. And then now I can put all the veggies in and they can cook for the next half an hour. And then I'm just pulling all the chicken off the bone. I am so happy that I did cook it for a little bit longer because it's coming off very easily. It's super hot though. And then we're just going to add that back in. Now I noticed when I did the chicken casserole video and people were asking me, did I add anything to it? And with this experiment, it's exactly the same. I didn't. I've added now the chicken soup mix, but it was already thicker beforehand because there are potatoes in here. And then when I made the second chicken casserole in that video, there wasn't potatoes in the dish. So I think that the starch from the potatoes has helped thicken it up from last time. So we mixed it all through, and then we had that for dinner that evening, and then the leftovers you'll see me bag up and put in the freezer that I thought were away safe, but my daughter discovered them for her lunch a few days later. Next up, we are making a base for sort of a shepherd's pie I was going to start with, but I'm going through this container of packet mixes trying to use everything up, and I came across this one, so I'm just using it there. And then what will be, I probably still will make a mashed potato and put it on top and then cook that, and that will be a really good dinner. And then I am going to bag up into containers that mincemeat and also the chicken, and it's going to go into the freezer so it's ready for when we want a meal down the track. So next up, I am making a double batch of the lasagna with the mincemeat that's there, and then at the back I'm making the second lot of the chicken casserole, so it'll have time to just sit there and cook while I move around and do other things. I don't actually get to finishing the lasagna tonight, so you'll see me make and prep everything, and then I stick everything in the fridge, and then tomorrow we will put it all together again because I just ran out of time. Because cooking it in the oven would have taken another half an hour, and then I need about an hour for it to cool down, and it was already 11 o'clock at night by the time I got around to cooking this second lot. So I just got it ready and prepped, and then it's good to go to put it tomorrow. I make my own white sauce for the lasagna. I always have. I just find it a lot easier than using jars, and then that way I can add a little bit more milk if I want to try and stretch it out a little bit more. It's just easier for me. The chicken casserole is nearly finished at the back, and it was still really watery when I sort of turned the heat off. So in a couple of days time I end up adding another pack of mix to it and just trying to thicken it up a little bit. And then again, we had some of that for dinner that evening, and then the rest went into a container in the freezer. You would have just seen I put some rice in a dish that we had left over, and that will go into the fridge for my son when he wants to have some lunch anytime or a snack. It's sitting there. And then I had the chicken Kievs here, and I bagged all of them up into portions for meals as well. Have a little bit of cheese left over. I'm going to grate this by hand, even though it nearly killed me trying to do it, but it's a lot quicker than having to clean the entire food processor that I have. So a little bit of elbow grease, but at least it's done. And now we have shredded cheese if we need it in the future. It's the next day. It is 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, and so I have 2 hours to put this together and cook it in the oven, and then it can cool down enough to go into the fridge before I have to leave for Zumba in the afternoon. So making the most of my time. So my lasagna is a little bit of white sauce on the bottom of the pan, and then some pasta, and then a layer of the beef mince. Then I drizzle a little bit of white sauce over it, put the pasta layer again, I'll put the beef mince again, rinse and repeat over and over again. I'm finding that with this cooler with the mincemeat, I think it would be better if the mixture was still hot, so maybe I should have just warmed it up on the stove. I find that it just flows a little bit better, but at least this way too, I don't make as much of a mess. But still, it filled both containers perfectly, and so we end up with 12 portions of lasagna. Now we just have some more random meal prep organizing things that I do. So I had the chicken schnitzels here that I got on a markdown, and I'm just bagging them up ready for the freezer. So when we need our chicken parmesanas, they're here ready to go. And then I got a bag of kale and spinach. We don't eat kale, but the fact that it was marked down to 67 cents, I couldn't resist. So I'm going to take out all the spinach and divide it into 2 bags and then throw that in the freezer. I do eat spinach, usually on the side with like scrambled eggs or something. So I might not get to it for a couple of weeks, but it's in the freezer and it's there ready to go. So here is our lasagna the next day. It's cooled down in the fridge, so this made it really easy to cut up. Usually when I try and take a picture or a video of it a day of when it's cooking, it is just like sloppy Joe mess on a plate because it hasn't solidified at all. So I like it like this because then it looks good in a picture, but I think everyone else likes it fresh out of the oven. We did eat some that night that it was cooked, but then the leftovers now, it will look good for a photo. I'm going to bag up the pizzas that I flash freeze, and then they're ready. I've got to label them so everyone knows which one is which. And then coming up, I also had some celery that I got, so I'm chopping that up and putting it into a container, so then it's there for anyone who wants to snack on it. I had a couple of other soup packs that I didn't get around to doing, so I was going to make another beef casserole and lamb. So I've just chopped all of them up, as well as some sweet potato I had in the cupboard to use it up in Ziploc bags. They'll go in the freezer, so then they're there ready just to pull out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it has motivated and inspired you today. I so appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.